Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name is Apoqsi, and here in this video we're going to be breaking down the official, yes, the official Automatron DLC trailer for Fallout 4. This just came out yesterday morning, sadly not making a video till now, but without further ado, let's break it down, shall we?
Break it down.
Rated M for mature. Alrighty, so this very first scene we get a look at a robot that looks like a mix of new parts on a Assaultron styled frame with two bags attached. Now bags on robots is not news for the Automatron DLC, as we did actually see it in one of the DLC announcement images attached to the SentryBot companion, but this is still nonetheless very interesting to see so many bags and pouch options throughout this whole entire trailer. Now this could be just hinting that our robot companions will be very good assistants with lugging our pounds of junk around, or we could be getting backpacks ourselves, and the reason why I say that is we see a lot of things that the robots have that we will also get in return, so I think we might see backpacks as a apparel option in this DLC, but I could be totally wrong, or it could even be added within a free update, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep that at complete speculation. Now in this quick scene we get a look at some sort of robot factory that's back in operation developing what looks like to be ordinary Protectrons, and the reason why I say this is they have the exact same frame just without the outer shell. Now there's also a creepy ass looking robot down below which I'd say is not going to be on the friendly side when you see them, and you'll also get that understanding when we see them later on in this trailer. Now I also want to point out that we're going to be probably seeing tons of locations like this all over the Commonwealth, or at least at a few different locations that are solely from this DLC, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they include that in this game. Moving on, we see three robots, two of which in the foreground look very similar, but I believe have minor differences. The one closest seems to have a gamma gun attached as hands. As for the robot in the very far distance, it looks like a RoboBrain remix. Next up, we've got a badass Protectron and SentryBot mix with what looks like to be that gamma-like weapon on one arm and what I believe to be a Gatling laser on the other. We now get a look at some sort of unnumbered vault, which is probably just going to be another location or a part of that factory, which we can more or less just consider as filler footage for now, as we don't really know much about it or whether it has any importance whatsoever. Moving in, we get our very first true look at the returning RoboBrains that were initially not featured in Fallout 4 as they were in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and it's just nice to see that they are returning in this DLC. Further, we get to see something pretty unique, a almost robot raider and super mutant style scene with dead robot junk set up, and we continue to actually see this theme in the next scene with some sort of big ass robot surrounded by all these dead pinned up robots and candles, and there will be more on this robot later on in this video. Moving forward, we get another front shot of the robot companion shown at the beginning, now displaying a front pouch on its chest, which is definitely interesting because we will be seeing all sorts of pouches, bags, and bedrolls attached to all of these different robots. Next, we get our very first look at the amazing robot creation Mechanic, which is one of the main features in this DLC, starting with a Protectron mixed with a RoboBrains tracks with a massive double sledgehammer with a buzzsaw in the middle for one arm and a claw on the other, which I just have to say I'm kind of glad that we can make these ourselves and they're not all versing us. Second, we get a look at the base of a Protectron, just like what we saw being built in the bot factory. Now we get to see more of a glimpse into the customization options when it comes to just the torso itself, showcasing a few different options mixed with a RoboBrain head and Protectron arms and legs. Continuing on with that customization, we get a look at a mix of a new SentryBot torso, RoboBrain styled tracks, a head that I personally have never seen, so we'll probably be seeing a lot of new robot pieces that we've never seen before in this DLC, and is equipped with a Gatling laser and an all new arc weapon, which we'll see more of later on in this trailer. Now we get to see a Mr. Gutsy head on top of Protectron legs. Not sure what the use of this is, and it also has the addition of some bedrolls and pouches as well. A massive sentry bot looking motherfucker with tall legs, armor plating, and what looks like to be a skull as a head, and is equipped with a buzzsaw and what almost looks like some sort of blade, which we will actually see more of later in this trailer. A once again massive sentry bot, but with a sick twist of a teddy bear as its head, along with being equipped with a 4-finger claw and yet another buzzsaw, which we'll be seeing a lot of in this DLC from what we can gather in this trailer. We also get to see the actual video scene in which the image of the sentry bot and new armor pieces was taken from, once again bringing us back to the emphasis on pouches, bags, and bedrolls attached to your robots. Now we get a actual combat scene with a robot companion equipped with a Gatling gun, with once again more bags and bedrolls, fighting a blacked out armored Protectron with a skull as a face, spraying fire from its flamethrowering heads. Now, before we continue, something very obvious throughout this trailer is the dark and or red robots always fighting the lighter colored robots, usually in a bluish color. Now, I'd presume this is just our robot companions fighting against bad bots, but this could also mean something in terms of good robots roaming in the Commonwealth as well, so that we won't actually be seeing all bad robots from this DLC. This would link in with the robot that speaks throughout the trailer, and that could be a part of the story itself. Now moving on to more action, we get a look at two bots sporting buzzsaw styled arms, but one with an Assaultron devastating laser beam as an additional attack. Next we've got a armored Protectron fighting a flying bot with what looks like a massive weaponized drill and a piece of metal junk it swings around and hits the other bot with. Now we get to see an armored Mr. Gutsy fighting that massive orange Protectron with tracks that we saw earlier in this trailer. Next up, we've got a Assaultron bot equipped with a flamethrower against a armored up sentry bot, giving the nice old backhand that we know and love from the sentry bots. And here we also get to see that the sentry bot is also equipped with a flamethrower and what looks like to be a high caliber weapon on its other side. Now here with a few robot variations in this scene, we get to see that we can expect that the new robot variations will be making a decent impact, at least in the Commonwealth, as there are all new locations with their new signature items such as these metal torches, and new locations like the unnumbered vaults that solely revolve around these new enemies and DLC. Something else I would like to point out in this scene is that the Assaultron is equipped with a shish kebab. Moving on, we get to see some really cool stuff from this DLC, that being some of the brand new weapons based off the new robot weaponry. So what this looks like is the buzzsaw that we saw on some of the robots earlier, but this could also mean the return of the auto axe from the Fallout 3 add-on, the Pit, but to me it just replicates that of the buzzsaw on the bots throughout the trailer, and doesn't look too much like the auto axe, but it could just be a brand new version of the auto axe. Next up, we get a close look at the iBot helmet and another new weapon a part of this DLC. And yes, this is indeed a weaponized Assaultron head, and if anything like the original power of the Assaultron, this thing will definitely pack a nice little punch. In addition to there being a new melee weapon, which is the new sword that the robots can also wield, we also get a closer look at the bot that we saw from the beginning of the trailer. But in this case, there are actually two. So I'd like to point out that they have a large Mr. Gutsy eye as their head, which I have to say is pretty terrifying all in itself. We also see in the background a floating bot with what looks like to be both an arc weapon and a gamma weapon. Even further behind that, we see a sentry bot. So from this scene alone, I'm thinking this DLC could actually give us some challenge in terms of difficulty. Skipping over to the next scene, we get another look at this style of bot and how effective it can actually be when it gets in its melee range, with the ability to knock you over and do a high damage kill move, as seen with the hardened enemies, much like the Death Claws. Here we also get another look at the saw blade weapon, but from a third-person perspective. In this next scene, we get a look at a bot using that sword that we can also use ourselves with this DLC. We also see that this Protectron is sporting the Assaultron laser beam onto face as a secondary weapon. Now this right here is where it builds up to my favorite scene in this trailer, not only because of this badass armored helmet, but because of this very first look at the new arc weapon that we will be able to sport, in addition to showing us a custom iBot. So here it is. Here is my favorite scene, or at least one of my favorite scenes from this trailer. We get a very good look at this new arc weapon and just how awesome its effects are. You can even see that the weapon connects to close additional targets. Moving on, this is where the true story details start to show. We get our very first good look at the big sentry bot from earlier in this trailer with what looks like to be 2 miniguns in the addition of what I believe to be flamethrowers and large metal plating for armor. This thing honestly looks like a fucking transformer with a Mad Max twist. And let's not forget to mention how big of a pain in the ass it'll actually be to fight this on our own or even with robot companions. Now it's the time for what we've all been waiting for, our very first look at the Mechanist in Fallout 4. So if you're unaware, this character is well known from Fallout 3. I'll be covering more details on the DLC and story in a moment. So in this final scene, we get to see the Mechanist, of course, and his collection of different variations we can see in terms of bots. And this alone is pretty exciting, that there will be a good amount of variation in this DLC. Then it cuts to the Fallout 4 Automatron logo, and that's the end of this official trailer. So as for the release date, the Automatron DLC will be available for download across Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC on Tuesday, March 22nd, only a week away, and I have to say, I'm personally pretty excited for this DLC. So alongside this trailer, we also got a post on Bethesda.net giving us more insight to the DLC and the storyline itself. It reads, "In Automatron, the mysterious Mechanist has unleashed a horde of evil robots into the Commonwealth, including the devious Robo-Brain. Hunt them down and harvest their parts to build and mod your own custom robot companions. Choose from hundreds of mods mixing limbs, armor, abilities, and weapons such as the all-new Lightning Chain Gun, which is the arc weapon I was talking about earlier. Even customize their paint schemes and choose their voices for characters level 15 or higher." So it actually looks like there will be a level requirement for that feature, and this is part of a statement that we heard earlier from Bethesda when the DLC was announced, but this is kind of just rounding out the statement. However, that is actually it for this breakdown of the Fallout 4 Automatron DLC trailer. Hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, please smack that like button down below and subscribe to join the good fight if you haven't already. It would be super greatly appreciated. In addition, check out sugarbomb.com, the beautiful forum website for all Bethesda fans. There's even a nice little section to talk to Mr. Matty Plays, Fudge Muppet, myself, and more if that's something you're interested in. So anyways, until next time, this is Apoqsi, signing off.